In today's tutorial, we'll be showing you how to fit the brand new G80 ZAERO Evo S chassis mounted front splitter. So for the install of this brand new ZAERO Evo S splitter, we do highly recommend using a ramp. However, you can use just a pair of jacks. So this is quite an in-depth install, so you will need a wide selection of tools. What you'll need is a hammer and center punch, a drill and some drill bits. You'll also need some sort of marker pen, a trim removal tool, a ratchet with a 13mm, 10mm and 8mm socket. You'll also need a T30 Torx bit and a T45 Torx bit, and then finally you'll need your riv nut gun. So as this is a chassis mounted splitter, we will have to remove the front bumper, which we're going to show you how to do right now. First step, you want to grab your trim removal tool, and you've got 6 plastic push clips along this top edge, which we'll be removing, so then we can then take this plastic panel off. So once you have them all removed, you can simply just lift this plastic piece off, rest it there, and this now gives us access to the 8 T30 Torx bits, which we'll now be removing. Next, we're going to lift the car up and then get the bumper disconnected from the front fenders, which I'll show you now. So first, you just want to turn the wheel, and then that will give you access to the 3 10mm bolts that we'll be removing. We've got one down here, one here, and then one just up here. Now that we've got the 3 10mm bolts removed, this lets us pull the wheel arch back, which will give us access to the 2 8mm bolts that are holding the bumper to the front fenders, and will also give us access to disconnect all of the sensors. So it's going to be quite hard to show you the 2 8mm bolts we'll be removing. However, we're going to overlay a clip now just so you can see what we're doing. So now we've got 3 sensors to disconnect, which we'll show you now. Now you just want to repeat the exact same process on the other side. Now we'll be removing all of the 10mm bolts that are holding this stock rubber lip on. So now lastly, we're just going to remove the last remaining 10mm bolts that are holding the lower edge of the bumper on, and then there's just 3 push clips as well either side. Now that everything's undone, we're going to get the car lowered back down and get the bumper popped off. So you just want to start from the corners and just pull them down to get them unclipped from the mounting points. Then you want to move on to the top and just pull that out of its mounting points. And then just before we get this bumper off, we do highly recommend using a trestle if you are using a ramp. If you are trying to do this on the floor with some jacks, you could just use a pair of boxes just so the bumper's got something to rest onto. Now finally, you just want to give each lower corner quite an aggressive tug, just like that. And now you're ready to pull the bumper off. Next, you want to grab your T45 Torx bit, and we'll be removing this bolt here. So next, you want to grab this bolt from the fitting kit with the 5mm Allen key head, along with the washer provided, and you want to place that back into the hole you just removed the OEM bolt from. You just want to get this hand tightened until it's all the way in. Next, you want to grab the spacer provided and get that threaded on to the new bolt we've just put in. Next, you want to grab your bracket provided and you want to make sure that this hole here is lined up with this spacer, and then these two holes here should sit along the chassis rail, just around here. So I'll show you that now. So once you have that lined up, you want to grab the 13mm bolt and get that screwed through that hole into this spacer. So now you just want to apply some pressure to this bracket to get them two holes as level as possible with the chassis rail. And once you're happy that they are sitting level with each other, you want to just grab a Sharpie or some sort of marker and just mark the center of them two holes. Now, once you have them 2 points marked, we're going to come back underneath, remove this 13mm bolt, and then remove this bracket. Next, you want to grab your center punch and hammer, and we just want to get them 2 points that we've previously marked punched in, and then we'll be drilling them to 9mm. Next, you want to grab the 2 riv nuts provided and your riv nut tool, and we'll be getting these clamped into the 2 holes we've just drilled out. So now you've got them riv nuts in place, you're going to want to get this bracket, get it lined up again, and get that 13mm bolt hand tightened in underneath. So once you've got that all hand tightened, you're going to want to finally grab the 2 10mm bolts with the washers and get them screwed into these 2 holes we've just created here. Now that's all loosely into place, what you want to do is just grab your ratchet and get everything nice and tight. So now what you're going to want to do is put the front bumper back on, and this is the same process as earlier, but just in reverse. So at this point, you want to make sure you leave this lower rubber lip off, and you want to leave all the OEM hardware for it off as well, as you'll need to reuse this to fit the new ZAERO splitter. So once you've reinstalled the bumper without the plastic lower lip and all the hardware for that, we'll be wanting to remove this corner of the undertray. And to do so, you've got 2 10mm screws here and then 3 10mm screws along this edge just here. So now you've got all them 10mm screws removed, you can just simply slide that corner piece out. So you want to install this clip along this edge here, not on this lower part. So you just want to carefully pry that lower part down and just insert this so it lines up with the OEM hole, just like that. Once you've got that metal clip in place, you want to simply repeat the same process on the other side, and once you've done that, you want to then reinstall them 2 corner pieces of the undertray. So now, before we can get this upper part of this splitter fitted, you want to grab your adhesive promoter, and we'll be prepping the top surface that we'll be applying the 3M tape to. Now you want to get your adhesive wipe and then wipe underneath all of the front bumper. So we're now ready to install this upper part of the splitter. To do so, you want to peel back a corner of the 3M tape. Now you want to get the splitter loosely lined up and in place, sitting on top of these new brackets. So now you've got the splitter roughly in place, you want to start putting the OEM screws back in through the splitter into the bumper, and these will also help you line it back up. So one thing to note, you want to leave the end hole on each corner of the splitter empty, as we'll be using a new bolt from the fitting kit, but this is also going to go through the adjustable part of the splitter. And this third hole in from either side of the splitter, we're going to be replacing the OEM 10mm screw with a longer 8mm screw provided in the fitting kit. But all the rest of the holes, you can start putting the OEM 10mm screws back in and the push clips. Now you've got all the hardware underneath loosely screwed in, you just want to double check the fitment, and once you're happy with it, you can now start slowly pulling away at the backing of the 3M tape. And now that you've done that, you can get back underneath and get all them screws nice and tight. So now the top part of the splitter is installed, we are now ready to install the lower chassis mounted adjustable part. So to install this part, you simply just want to line it up and push it up against the upper part of the splitter, and then the two mounting holes will sit on top of this new bracket we've installed. And it should sit just like this. Now you want to grab the 4 10mm bolts and washers, and you want to get them installed into the 4 holes just here. So these 4 bolts aren't to adjust the splitter in and out, however they do give you left and right adjustments. So at this point, before we get the 2 end bolts installed, we just want to make sure the splitter is central. Then we can get the 2 end bolts installed and get all 4 of them nice and tight. So now you're happy with the fitment of the lower half of the splitter, you're going to grab your 2 extended 10mm bolts with the washers, and we're going to get them into the holes on each corner of the splitter. Now we can get all of them bolts nice and tight. So that is the splitter now fully installed. All that is left to do is get the ZAERO gel badge stuck down into place, and then we'll show you how to adjust the splitter. Now we're going to show you how to adjust the splitter. At the moment it's in its least aggressive form, but we are going to show you how to put it into its most aggressive form. So all you're going to want to do is loosen all the 10mm bolts that are in the splitter. However, you need to leave the 2 bolts in either bracket still tight. Now that you've done that, you can simply pull the lower part of the splitter out and push it back in until you're happy with where it's sitting. But for the purpose of this video, we are going to leave it all the way out on its most aggressive setting. Once you've got the splitter how you like it, you just simply tighten them bolts back up, and it's as easy as that. So that's the brand new ZAERO EVO-S G80 chassis mounted splitter all installed. If you did just want the upper part, that is also an option, and these are in stock on the website now with the option for worldwide shipping or in-house fitting. And if you had any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.